Hello and welcome to our post-draft rankings that I should have done at the draft, but hey, here we are. Needed some more time to think about it. My drunk ass couldn't come to any conclusions. I've made some changes from what I was initially looking at, and I'm just going to go right into the rankings. And you know what, guys? I'm going to start at the end again. I'm going to start at 13 and just work my way down as quickly as I can. And initially, I think I had Weston as the worst team, then I had Lamb as the worst team, but after looking at everything in the app and it gives me a much clearer picture. Number 13 belongs to Mr. Tony Marullo, guys, and I think the trade to Sklar was a joke, but if it's real, then he definitely has the worst team. But yeah, I mean, I don't even hate Tony's team. I just kind of like pretty much everyone's team in its own respect. But I think Tony has some of the most question marks. I think he has a pretty weak wide receiver core. While I like Keenan Allen, be interesting to see what goes on with Devontae Smith and Corey Davis. Kyle Pitts has all the hype. He was excellent at Florida, but he's a rookie tight end coming in that you took with your 4th or 5th round pick. So, and he's on one of the worst teams in the NFL. So it's I don't know what height he's going to reach. I'd love to see him do great, but I don't know. Matt Stafford on a new team, I'd love to think he's going to be better on the Rams, and I do think he is. But still, Tony's just got a lot of guys in new teams, rookies. I don't think J.K. Dobbins is going to. I don't think he's going to even do what he did at the second half of last season. I still think there's going to be a committee. I know Mark Ingram's gone, but they love giving Gus Edwards carries. Obviously, Lamar gets a lot of touchdowns, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see who gets all of Mark Ingram's touchdowns, because I felt like they unnecessarily gave him some touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. And maybe if Dobbins can get that'll be huge. But I'm not the biggest fan of Tony's bench. He was loving Gio Bernard. I don't. Nelson Aguilar, Chuba Hubbard is definitely just a fucking hopeful McCaffrey gets hurt pick. But I mean, Kareem Hunt's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I think if I had to just pick someone, I guess I had to pick Tony, guys. And then we'll go number 12 is Kevin Lamb. It is Big Booty Judy with a picture of me looking so fucking voided. But yeah, I think Kevin's best 2 players are running backs, and I just don't really like either one of them. I think Joe Mixon has potential to go off some weeks, but he just has so many 8-point weeks in his arsenal that you're just going to hate it. Jonathan Taylor's in a big committee. Even with Carson Wentz actually looking good to come back week 1, I still think I don't love Taylor. You're starting Fitzmagic as your quarterback, and that could be this great and that could be this bad. It's Justin Fields I don't think is going to be good, so I think that was just an absolute fucking waste of a pick. Especially that was your first pick after taking 9 straight running backs / receivers. Taking 2 Steelers wide receivers is, I think, risky. While I like Deontay Johnson, I don't like Big Ben. And it looks like I'm looking at the other side of this matchup, and Eric has Big Ben as one of his backup quarterbacks, but I think it's just another year of deterioration for that guy, and I think we're finally seeing the washed Big Ben that probably should have seen 2 years ago when he got hurt or whatever. But I think your bench is all right. I think you definitely have some options. AB, I think, is probably going to end up starting for you. But yeah, you just have a lot of players on the same teams. You have the Gronk and AB, you might end up starting the Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. Maybe you're loading up for trades, and I'm sure that I feel that had to be in your mind if you're taking 6 fucking receivers. So you're just hoping some of them turn out good, and you can hopefully trade them on. But just from a draft perspective, Kevin, I'm looking at you at 12th. But I think with some GM moves, you can really be a contender. Next up, we have Sedano. I think I was kind of high, not high on him, but I wasn't as low as everyone else was at the draft. But then once the more I looked at it, and especially comparing it to other teams, this is such a Sedano. It really, really is. I was saying Mike Evans, he could pop off. Odell could pop off. Darren Waller is a good player. Zeke and Dak, blah, blah. I feel there's so many what ifs, could be's, should be's, hopefulness with Sedano's team. Randall Cobb, T.Y. Hilton on the bench is a fucking wash. Christian Kirk, I don't even like. He might get beat out by Rondell Smith and A.J. Green for targets. I don't think Kirk's that high fantasy value. Traquan Smith's an interesting one. I think Eric hit a home run picking up Callaway. I'm actually surprised he didn't get drafted. 2 touchdowns last night. That definitely hyped Eric up. Will Fuller will be fine when he gets back from suspension, but just all in all, James Conner, I don't know how good he's going to be for the Cardinals. Maybe he'll get some goal line fucking carries. Who knows if Dak even comes back fully healthy? Like, I just think there's a lot of question marks with Sedano's team, and I do think my assessment of his team being a boom or bust team, though, week in, week out, is pretty fair. Like, I think we're going to see some really bad weeks from Johnny's team and probably some really good weeks, but that's not going to land you near the top of the board, and you're sitting at number 11. Down to number 10, we have Mike Weston, Hurtsmith Thielens. I didn't really like his team initially. The more I looked at it, I thought it was a little better. I mean, having Travis Kelce is obviously just really good in comparison to everyone else, but I think Weston has the worst running backs. Phillip Lindsay and Clyde, I just don't really like Clyde. I thought he was like a little slow with the ball last year. I would watch a lot of the Chiefs games and a lot of their highlights and really be hopeful when I had him on my team. And I think Sklar can back me up. I don't think he really liked him when he had him either. And really, Clyde was like one of the only running backs there. I think Darrell Williams might have been, but Weston has both of them as his little handcuff. But now Jerick McKinnon's coming in, and I feel like he's just more of an explosive guy. I know he has trouble staying on the field, but I feel like he fits into that Chiefs offense a little better than Edwards-Helaire does. So it'll be interesting to see how that share of carries and snaps goes between those guys, and including Darrell Williams. I think Lindsey will probably end up being the RB1 for Houston, but even still, David Johnson and Mark Ingram are there, and the Houston Texans are terrible. So I don't love that as a starting running back. Jalen Hurts is a big question mark. I think he has a lot of running upside. I think he could be good, but I don't know. It seems a little risky. I think Thielen's going down. I think Irv Smith's going to take some red zone targets from him. I think Justin Jefferson's just going to keep generally taking targets away from him. So I think in the fourth round where Weston got Thielen, I think was actually like decent value, but I don't know. I don't love him anymore. One of those emotional things, you know. Julio Jones, I mean, it's his wide receiver 1, and I don't know if Julio is still a wide receiver 1 in this league. You know, I'm sure he'll be good. I don't know. Like, I think A.J. Brown's going to take away some good cornerbacks and vice versa, so I think they're only going to complement one another. I don't like Robbie Anderson. I don't think he ever really had a good season with Darnold, so I think DJ Moore is going to be the guy definitely to look at there. And then Rast must have said Shi Smith like 70,000 times this weekend, and he seems to think he's going to emerge as the wide receiver 2 there, so we'll keep an eye on Shi Smith, okay? But I don't know. I'm sure Anderson's still startable. I don't really like Weston's bench that much. He must have just picked up Jameis, maybe, riding that hype train off his good game last night. But yeah, I just see a lot of backups, and yeah. Moving on to Lynch at number 9. Matt Lynch, the Cooper Troopers. My team name was the Super Koopas last year, so it seems a little uncreative from one of the more creative guys in the league, guys. But hey, that's Matt Lynch's team name. Let's see if he runs with it. I have him at number 9. I think Aaron Jones is obviously sick, and I did like the Brady pick. I wasn't that big on the DeAndre Swift pick. I just feel like he missed games last year. Like, I feel like he's just one of those guys that just deals with a little bit of injuries. The Lions kind of suck. They got Jamal Williams, which I kind of feel like is gonna impact Swift and any sort of pass catching ability that he might have possibly provided. So I don't know. I just feel like it would have been better to get a receiver there and maybe someone compare. I feel like there were running backs going in the 3rd and 4th round that were comparable to Swift, but that's just my opinion. Amari Cooper as a wide receiver 1. I feel like he's a strong wide receiver 2. So I think a stud wide receiver would have given this team a different look. But hey, prove me wrong, guys. That's going to be the episode title, Prove Me Wrong. T. Higgins, I think there's just a lot to spread the ball around now too in the Bengals offense. So while I think I like him the best of their 3 receivers, I think he's more of a flex than a wide receiver 2 at this point. Deebo Samuel, hopefully he can stay on the field. Mark Andrews has got to stop looking like Evan Ingram. I thought he dropped a few too many passes last year that really put him from he could have been one of the elite tight ends again, and I feel like he was just slightly underperforming. So hopefully he can get him back. I don't love Lynch's bench either. I think Chenault's excellent, but outside of that, I think he's reaching at some straws there with some of those guys. I don't think Matt Ryan should have got drafted. But yeah, so Lynch is sitting at number 9. Next, we have Christian Borelli at number 8, guys. And I think, where is Christian Borelli? His Team Reeks, working team name, I'm assuming. I doubt he's going to be this Team Reeks again. Christian McCaffrey is obviously the best fucking player in fantasy, and if he can stay healthy, Christian will probably do better than this 8th place ranking that I've given him. But I think Christian has a few holes in his team with Russell Gage and Leonard Fournette starting. I think one of those two guys in your starting lineup is fine because I think they're definitely flexible options, but I think both is a little scary, and the fact that DJ Moore is your only other like good receiver, I just don't love. Like, I think he's great, don't get me wrong, I think DJ Moore is going to be good, but your best two players are on the Panthers. And Kittle might be your second best player, but whatever. The Panther stack is definitely a little nerve-wracking in my opinion. George Kittle's great. Tannehill's solid. Montgomery's now in a system with Tariq Cohen and Damian Williams, where last year Cohen was hurt and Williams wasn't there. So I think his production is going to drop off from year to year. And they also don't really know what the fuck they're doing at quarterback. So that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate Christian's team, but I think he's just got a few holes, and that's what landed him the number 8 spot. So moving on, Eric at number 7. I think Eric's got good running backs, definitely a lot of upside. When Hostert's on the field, he's usually really good. Najee Harris is expecting a large workload, so I think he'll like that there. QB, he's got Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, and now Big Ben. He's keeping his options open, not the strongest all around, but he's really expecting Lance to come on at some point, so we'll see. I think Ridley's a beast. I think Godwin's going to take a slight dip. I think it's going to be, there's just so many fucking guys there. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, I think is going to do more. Someone mentioned that OJ Howard's going to be back full-time this season. Gronk. There's 3 Bucs running backs across people's rosters in our league. So there's just a lot of mouths to feed. And while Brady can probably do it, I don't know. Week in, week out, if you're going to love Godwin. Lockett I like. Someone said Lockett's washed at the draft, and I don't really see that, but maybe you guys know a little more than me, so maybe I shouldn't be as high on Lockett, but I still think he's a great receiver, great wide receiver too on that team. And didn't Jones have him last year and won? So I don't know. I like how Eric grabbed Callaway. Edmonds is a good bench player, no doubt. So yeah, all in all, I think Eric seems pretty good. And moving on to number 6, guys, Narduli. And yeah, I put Narduli above a Joe, so I put Narduli above Eric, so Joe can brag about that in a safe space or something like that if he wants. But usually my rankings don't mean shit, so I wouldn't get too excited. All right, Justin Herbert though, great quarterback. I like Saquon. I mean, I should say like if Saquon's healthy, obviously he's like top 5. Even though the Giants aren't very good, I really like that he grabbed James Robinson. I think James Robinson's going to be better than Darrell Henderson for him. And Darrell Henderson might be a flex/bench player for him. But especially with Etienne spraining his foot, which really might fuck me. I hate that just happens fucking 2 weeks before the season, but that's just me, I guess maybe it's 3 weeks, but still. Yeah, I think A-Rob and Justin Jefferson are great fantasy wide receivers. He grabbed Jerick McKinnon, which I think was good. I think Malcolm Brown's another pretty good shout. Yeah, I think Joe's team's pretty good, and I think whatever holes he has, I think his depth might make up for it. Higbee will probably only improve under Stafford, so yeah. Coming in at number 5 is James Ortiz, the Koo Balls. I don't really get this. The Koo, I mean, I know he obviously has Young Ho Koo, but balls, like, is he trying to be like Kabul, like Koo Balls, Kabul? I don't understand what the balls is. Might have to explain that to me, because I don't think Koo Balls sounds like Kabul, even though it kind of does, but fuck yourself, Ortiz. Anyway, I think Ortiz comes in at 5. I was dogging him a bit at the draft, no doubt, but I think he definitely his first 3 picks were definitely strong. Mahomes, Eckler, and D-Hop. I think Marvin Jones and Curtis Samuel are definitely good wide receivers. They're like those 15 to 17 point, like inside slant route guys that just kind of tend to rake in PPR points. So yeah, I like those. I think Sanders is meh, but I think Damian Harris as your backup running back. I really thought someone was going to take Damian Harris as like a starting running back, and that was going to be like a little risky, obviously. Well, actually, would be risky, but the fact that he's your RB3 and you snag Singletary 2, I think you have the depth to make up for if Sanders implodes. And then if something happens to the receivers, I like the fact that you have Ayuk, and I like Pittman, especially if Carson Wentz ends up healthy. I think Pittman's going to emerge as the wide receiver 1 there. So I think your depth is pretty freaking good, James. So I'm sure people will be talking to you for trades, and you won't make them. Coming in at number 4, John Rass, and this one is actually one that I wouldn't say I regretted, but maybe he should have been a few spots back. But you know what? I wanted to stay confident in my list, and we're just going to stick with it. Rass at number 4. I think Devontae Adams and DK Metcalf are going to be the best wide receiver tandem in the league. I don't really think there's too much of an argument there. I mean, they're fucking beasts. I like Goddard. I think Hollywood's a questionable flex. And then Chris Carson, Mike Davis, I think are like safe, solid running backs. Chris Carson always seems to be good, and I just like never think he's that good, but he always seems to be good. Mike Davis is really the only man there in Atlanta, so he'll get a good workload before he inevitably burns out in like 7 or 8 weeks. But that should carry rest through at least the 4th best man out of the draft. So he's going to need to keep up with this and make some moves. Rodgers is obviously great. Yeah, and I think he's got a few extra options on the bench. But as I said, Rass might have been my reach, but you know what? He's coming in at number 4, guys. And this next part was definitely the hardest part. So picking between 3 and 2, these two guys just have such similar teams. And I'll spoiler alert, Charlie is number 1. So Ian and Sklar have legit just like the most similar fucking teams. And I even like took like screenshots of it so I could like put them side by side. Like Kyler versus Lamar, Dalvin Cook versus Kamara, Naheem Hines versus Ronald Jones is like questionable RB2s that they both have. But then they have Sklar has Terry and CeeDee Lamb, which are beasts. And then Jones has Robert Woods and A.J. Brown, which are beasts. Sklar, I think, has a slight edge at tight end, Hawkinson over Thomas. And I think Sklar has a slight edge at flex to Boyd over Chark. And I think Sklar's bench was a little better. And I see Sklar as Jaguars defense, which is obviously like, what the heck? But it's got to be, he must have been, he's thinking matchups. They're playing Houston. They suck. So yeah, I gave slight edge to Sklar. So that brings Jones coming in at number 3 and Sklar coming in at number 2. But I think these are like truly 2 of the strongest teams in the league. And honestly, probably could have been 1-2. But I think Charlie got away with some things here. And I think Charlie's team could be really fucking scary. Russell Wilson, beast. Nick Chubb, beast. I liked the Gaskin pick. I know not everyone did, but like he catches passes. I don't know, like Malcolm Brown might take a little away from him. I can't even believe Ahmed got drafted. I thought that was insane. I don't know if Christian's in on the Dolphins more than the rest of us, but Josh Jacobs. So he has 3 starting running backs right there, and I think he's going to end up starting all 3 of them. And then he has Diggs as one of his receivers, who's one of the best in the league. And as long as Darnell Mooney or Fraud Juju can hold up his wide receiver 2 spot until Michael Thomas comes back, I think Charlie's team could look really fucking scary. Irv Smith, I really like. I think he's going to get a lot of red zone targets. And I think he's only gotten better over his last 2 seasons. So obviously this is riding on Michael Thomas coming back, but even still, like, take Michael Thomas out of the picture, and I still think Charlie has a top 4 team. But I think having the potential of him coming back could mean Charlie had the best draft. And Deshaun Watson, sneaky too. Like, if he I don't think he's going to play at all this year, but if he does, Charlie has Deshaun Watson and Russ, and he has a trade. Someone's going to make the trade. I even like Troutman as a backup tight end. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say because Charlie and I picked right next to one another. So it's like, wow, there must be so many what ifs going through my head. But I like how his team turned out. I still like my team, but I think I have more holes than I may have realized. So I'm very interested to see how I pan out. And guys, that's all I got. Charlie 1, Sklar 2, Jones 3, Rask 4, Ortiz 5, Narduli 6, Olsen 7, Borelli 8, Lynch 9, Weston 10, Sedano 11, Lamb 12, Marullo 13, Marsh 14. Fuck me. Etienne's going to be the death of me, and probably Kenny DeGalladay as well. So I am just so fucking excited for this year, guys. And let's have a great one. Let's go football all day, all the time. This was the Rival Recap post-draft special. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you even stuck around for this. And have a wonderful fucking Tuesday, because yesterday was awful. Thank you.